about some of the, in more detail, some of the risks as you sell your art in and out. And while the most expensive piece of art ever sold is currently rumoured to be on board the Saudi yacht, she has pitched her painting that she imagines taking on board at a very much lower rate, a mere Modigliani.
Sorry, is it really echoing badly? Okay, thank you. Thank you, great to see so many of you here. It's very early in the morning for me to be speaking, but good to see some people that I know and others that I don't. I teach a course and conduct training and consultancy with the risks with art on super yachts. And I think the first point to make is that there is no doubt that there is a considerable amount of art on yachts, and it's very, very important to make sure that you do the right thing with it, as Richard has explained already. Art in international waters is always on the move. And as I've put here, the art can exceed the value of the vessel, and indeed if the Salvator Mundi is on board a yacht, then it could well exceed that value. Generally, when we talk about significant works of art on super yachts, we're looking at 40 metres and over. So there's a whole tranche of the super yacht industry, probably something like 3,000 vessels that wouldn't have art, which could potentially be at risk on board. So they have some particularly valuable pieces. There's Super Yacht Topaz with 800 works of art on board, designed by Terence Disdale. There's Eclipse with 350 works of art on board, so you can see that that's quite significant. And I think nowadays, as you can see from the picture on the right-hand side, with yachts getting bigger, there is more space to house the art, and one is a little bit more distant from the sea, although other pictures I've got will slightly refute that, but one is a little bit more distant from the sea. There's a lot of privacy, there's more space to display the art, and it's a trend that we're starting to see here. So in terms of characteristics of types of art on yachts, we can also start by saying, is the vessel a work of art in itself? So on the right-hand side, you might recognise Motor Yacht Guilty. This was designed by Jeff Koons, and one would argue that it's a work of art. And then on the left there, that is a classic yacht, as we have classic cars. And we might argue that that would depreciate a little bit less than an ordinary yacht. This is the Milane, which was reconditioned by G.L. Watson, so it's quite a work of art in itself, being totally restored throughout. So with the exception of this type of vessel, one could argue that the only appreciating asset on board is the fine art, so important to look after it. And then I think very important to understand with yachts as well that the design on board, these programs are now very, very significant. People like Andrew Winch and Terence Disdale who do these amazing programs. The design pieces can run into 6 figures or even more, so they're very, very valuable. So we have to look at design as art, and then perhaps what is art. So if you're a super yacht stewardess coming off the restaurants in Palma, going to work on the yachts, I don't think that you're going to recognise that a white canvas with slashes through it is going to potentially be up to $39 million, which I think is the highest price I've seen for a Lucia Fontana. So here we have on the left-hand side Motor Yacht Air, with a Fontana displayed nicely above a candle, ready to pick up all the fumes from the candle wax, potentially catch fire. We do have fires on yachts. And on the right-hand side, another Fontana, nicely placed near the outdeck doors there, with 3 amounts of light on it. So if we're looking at environmental risks here, we have the sunlight, we have artificial light, and we have the bouncing light, which is particularly pertinent on yachts where the light bounces off surfaces. And you can see those beautiful design objects there. I think they're aura, those coffee tables where they reflect the light, but in themselves those will be valuable objects which will tarnish with time. So in terms of environmental risks, we have humidity, saline air, temperature and placement. So temperature should always be something like 2 degrees either side of 18 degrees. So very, very important to try to control the environment. And as you can see here, that's not easy. But there are some ways in which we can do it, which I'll explain. So if you thought that that was a one-off with the art being displayed on the outside, here we have Galactica Star, Bannenberg and Rau, fantastic yacht builders and designers, and they place a lot of art on board yachts. And here we have a Dale Chihuly, and nicely placed in the beach club of the yacht, so completely open to the air and behind the bar, ready to get the red wine spills and the champagne corks. And you might laugh about champagne corks, but I was actually told by a captain at a captain's party at Palma Yacht Show that they had a party on board the yacht, and they popped open champagne bottles and a cork did go into a canvas. What was worse was that the crew were the people that had the parties in the owner's quarters, which is a no-no, but it was done anyway. So, with environmental risk, we also have, as I've said, the saline air. And on the right-hand side, I'm sure all of you art people are going to recognise the Anish Kapoor mirrored sculpture. Now, that sculpture was delivered to a super yacht by a friend of mine, Don Christensen of Chelsea Art Group, who provides art for yachts. And Don delivered this